What is up? What is up? Welcome into Husker Hangover. I'm Matt Burzall hanging out with you on a Sunday morning after Nebraska snatches defeat from the jaws of victory against Michigan State. Wasn't that dramatic, but I like that line. 20-17. Many old habits are dying hard. We're texting Jay Foreman right now. So hopefully we can get Jay on, see what he's got going on. It pissed it away. I mean, there's nothing. There's no cute about it. Couple observations, you know, in every season, even in like wickedly successful seasons, you're just going to have a game where your defense doesn't have its fastball, it doesn't have its A game, it isn't what you thought it would be, it's not everything you expect in a game. That was this game for Nebraska. The defense didn't have its fastball, didn't have its best step. In saying that, they only gave up 20 points. I mean, you should be able, as a Power 5 Division I college team, be able to score more than 17 points. And then everybody can fire the stats at me with Michigan State's bad defense or as good a defense or whatever. Well, whatever side of the equation you want to be on. But there's got to be a game where your offense goes and wins it. And it just, again, you're into the same discussion, or we are into the same discussion that we have when we talk about Nebraska's offense. It has no flow. It has no rhythm. It seems to be very disjointed. Anytime to, and I know I coach at a much lower level. I coach high school football. But the play callers that are good, like really good, once they find their advantage, they take advantage. They just do. And they're not afraid to go away from it. If a play works for them on one side, it works for them on the other. So now if I fast forward that to college, play callers are a dying breed. There aren't a lot of people that call a good game. There are a lot of people that are out talented, right? Like they have more talent than the other team, so they can take advantage of that. But when it gets down to nut cutting, there is no, that art of calling plays is only reserved to a select few. There aren't many that can do it anymore. I'm not gonna lie. And the ones in college that can do it are so rare that when they go then and you move up to the next level of the pros, which is a lot of times the same play, just different formations or different confusion where you're motioning around or you're sliding guys over or that kind of stuff. But the artful play caller is almost extinct in college football. And if you've got somebody that you watch outside of Nebraska that you think calls a good game, I'd be interested to hear it, because it's hard to watch. And the reason I bring this up is because without that flow or without that kind of energy, Nebraska's offense really does look unappealing. I think is the best way I can put it. When you have to rely on Harburg, like when your best play is full coverage, everybody's covered, we hope we find a lane. Okay? Meaning a lane for Harburg to run. That's tough. You can't call that play. When your best play doesn't have a name, it's a tough look. It's a tough identity. A lot of that falls on the offensive line. Now, you also have to tip your cap to Michigan State. Michigan State came out fired up with a game plan after all the shit they've been through, after all the shit that's gone down at Michigan State in various teams. They've done that to themselves, all that shit. But they played, I think they played a game for their seniors. Like the broadcast crew made mention of it, was senior day. That was a group of dudes, and I credit Coach to getting them together on that aspect. But that's probably one of the better games that they have played. Now, for a Nebraska fan, we went in there and we were feeling pretty good. We were feeling, hey, this is how we get bowl eligible. This is what goes down. This is happening right now. We have not a care in the world. We're going to go beat lowly Michigan State. It's a good reset for all of us. It's a good reset for how we operate. We had won 3 in a row. But the reality check of our team is we don't have a luxury to enjoy, because we are one game like that away. The tough part for me and some of the things when we were turning the ball over, I have no problem with a turnover when the defense does something amazing. Okay. I got no issue when that happens. If coverage is great and the guy makes a great play and that's how the turnover occurs, that's perfectly fine with me. I have zero issue with that. But when the turnover is easy and the turnover is almost effortless, sometimes when it looks like you're the intended receiver on the turnover, those are difficult to swallow. Those are the unacceptable. We're at game whatever 9. We're at game 9. Yeah, 9. That mistake shouldn't happen. There shouldn't be miscommunication between the two. That's what hurts. Like that's what will chap your ass more than anything. Is that type of INT can't happen. Walter is firing stats, turnover stats right now. Yeah, offensive line again, struggled. Backs were okay. We just didn't look right. Like we didn't look explosive. We didn't look amazing. Not that we would have, but maybe that's a bad word. We didn't show progress. Like we didn't show something that moved us forward. Like I said, the defense just had a bad day. Had a bad day at bad times, and the part that I will forever be amazed by that, you had a bad day and you gave up 20 points. 20 points in today's football that's a hell of a bad day. Like you're doing some things when that is your day. Like I said, something just looked off. Something, and that's gonna happen. The next challenge though for Nebraska is, what is your short-term memory like? Can you just numb that out and can you go from there? Because you got to get ready now for Maryland. Your 24-hour rule probably is over, and away they go. But yeah, they've got to figure that out. To the comment section we go. Everybody's kind of chirping up this morning. Of course, we started out with John. A lot of Satterfield comment. John says, "Fire Satterfield. What the F was that?" Walter, of course, offense is a total shit show. You can type cuss words on there, Walter. You don't have to just shy yourself away. -12 turnover margin. Lee says lots of Harburg hate, plenty of blame to go around. Defense got torched looking into the backfield. O-line didn't exactly give Hiner much help. Best play of the day was a called pass. Lee also then follows up with get out of the way. New comment thing. Lee says he's not great, but I'm old enough to remember quite a few shitty quarterbacks that won the Big 8 and Big 12. They couldn't pass either. True. I don't think it's the fact can or can't pass. When when the play design is right and he gets what he has, like when he gets a good read, he doesn't always throw from a spotless pocket with a good read. He makes a good throw. I don't know Satterfield's obsession with just chucking it up deep, like legit 30-yard, chuck it up. Especially if you watch Michigan State, they've rolled a safety. You see the guy during the game, oftentimes he bails completely out of the screen. He bails out of the screen. Like you don't see him. He gone. Playing at like 25, 30 yards. Just waiting for the 500 ball. The thing with a ton of defenses, the middle of them are always vulnerable. Fedoni had a good day. Couple catches, like looked good. Blocked all right. If that's your only horse, you got to feed him. Get it to him in the middle, right? Work on getting it to him in stride so he can make a move. Use his athleticism. All those things, but the 2 9 routes on the outside or the post route on the outside and then chuck it. Can't. It does, as I think I've said before, it does give me a little trepidation as I watch Nebraska's offense. Because I got buddies that play quarterback. I talked to them. And I was like, is that a throw? Like, what in that made that feel open? To me, that's not a throw that gets made. And you can pick whichever interception you want. That's a safety deep over. We have by no means blown away from the coverage. So now you're 2v1. I don't think that was the read made. I think it feels to me as if it's like, hey, throw it there. It's going to be open, and then it's not. And the kid's doing what he's told. Again, this is just my guess. I don't know anything in that, but that's what it is. Mike says regarding play calling and offense, Washington versus USC last night, it's what we have to look forward to. Zero chance. Zero chance. We ain't. Maybe like 5-10 years. I mean, maybe that's what you mean, Mike. But we ain't got those guys. If they want to send us some extra linemen, yeah. I Lee talking about the hate on Heinrich. That's the part, that comes with playing quarterback. You get too much blame when you lose, you get too much credit when you win. Just the way it is. It's what the job should just be, the job description. Do I? Yeah. I think with proper play call, he can be all right. But proper play call is tough because you've got to have a crease for him. He's got to have somewhere to wiggle. I thought defensively, Michigan State did some really good things. They were fast read anytime that it looked like Harburg wanted to carry it. Not really a spy, but a safety or a linebacker. Obviously, Harburg was his read. As soon as it looked as if he was going to pull it down and run, they just took off. They have no other responsibility, no pass responsibility. And maybe you have to do unto others as they do unto you. Throw a halfback pass, make them come up and try to do too much in defense, run reverses, run those kind of things. But my biggest takeaway from it is something was just off yesterday. Now, I say Nebraska had a bad day. They were really in bend but don't break mode, but two of the completions, if I'm not wrong, two of the completions in that game were by non-quarterback. It wasn't like the quarterback was. Now he did get on some runs and he had some good drives and did those kind of things. But I mean, I think the halfback threw one to 83. It was a big chunk play. The catch slash drop, I know we will get into that. I have a different take than most on that. But tons of stuff you got to get right now. It's amazing how one game will change perspective. Right, we're 5-3. In my mind, I'm like, you got 4 games. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 to get to 6. 6 gets you to a bowl. Away you go. Watching that, you lose one, and I was like, oh shit, son of a bitch. Here we go. Okay. And my brain instantly shifted to, I was like, Maryland is a must win now. I was like, you have to. Not nobody will like this, but like you have to almost hope for like 12-degree weather. Like just get it as cold as possible and go out and get that W because that one on there. And man, it just hate to say a game is a must win, but this one against Maryland at home, I hope for the seniors that are there, and I know you still have Iowa at the end. But if I'm a senior, I'm looking at some of these young guys that play and contribute. I'm going to say, hey, man, need you. I need to win these last 2 home games of my senior year. Okay. So whatever it is, whatever you got to do to block better, whatever you got to do to tackle better, whatever you got to do to run better, whatever you got to do to catch better, do it. Please. Wisconsin at Camp Randall, we haven't had the highest amount of success there. I apologize to all you for lumping past games onto this staff, but it just isn't. It's a house of horrors for us. Hopefully, we can go exercise the demons, but I'd rather have that baby handled at home and get that taken care of as possible or as quickly as possible. Potential guys coming on today. We have requests out to Jay Foreman. So Jay is trying to work that out. He has actually contacted me. Matt Hoskinson, who finished up his coaching career with his youngest son, Jake the Snake, and Damon. I was going to say Damon Thew. Damon Benning, who called the game up in East Lansing. One of my favorite stadiums, by the way. Love that one when we played there. We got to play there once, and it was freaking awesome. I love that thing. And one of the weirder situations, we had a lady, as we were busing to the game, she might have been a member of the Damon Benning driving school because she didn't get it a whole bunch. Streets at that time, I haven't been to East Lansing in quite a while, weren't very wide on campus. So, I mean, she is like parked up on a stop sign. Like she is at a 4-way stop and she is almost in the intersection stopped. So the bus driver, we're turning and the bus driver's kind of like acknowledging her to back up as we're turning. She's like, nah, I'm good, man. And she didn't. And we kind of bumped the front of her car. And she just sat there. The bus driver, like, I tried to warn her. And he just kept going to the stadium and pulled up. We got out. And I was like, this a hit and run? Like, are we witnesses to a crime? But no. So we'll see which one of the boys is available. Basically, the reason I told you about Haas is that I know he ain't got shit going on. So if he's not coming on the show, he's just being a dick. And I know Jay is trying. Walter says Satterfield's top 10 paid OC, giving bottom 10 production. Things will be interesting in the off season. How that all handles, how that all operates. If you give some time because of the the talent you had in there, or you want to see improvement on certain positions, like, yeah, that's kind of what it is. Or do changes get made? Like, do you year one make changes? Offseason will be crazy interesting. Patrick says, get the kibosh on broadcasting from the shop. Nope, I'm just back in the office. Because it's easier for me to just leave this setup in here in the back than try to tote it out every week and not screw something up, as I did the other week. Jay says it looked like they were there. Not great game, not a bad game, and not doing anything special. Oh, meaning it looked like we were just kind of hanging out. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, yeah. Like I said, something was just off. It didn't match intensity, didn't match enthusiasm, drive, desire, however you want to term it. But yeah, just you have those days. There's days where it's not right. Shit. Friday night we were down 28-6 in the first quarter. Oh, holy shit, this has gone terribly wrong. But you got to find a way to dig out of it. You got to find a way. You got to look at the rest of your teammates and say, hey, how are we going to do it? How's this going to happen? Anthony says you have to know your quarterback's capabilities. This, Anthony, that is one of the best statements I've heard in a long time, because back to the discussion of play callers. Play callers, they get it. Call plays to accentuate the strength of their players. Okay. Yes, you have a 4,000 play playbook. Awesome. Great. I'm so eternally happy that you possess a telephone book of plays. Guess what? So does everybody else. Legit. But when you can look at what your quarterback is good at, which is a play action pass fake, then a 2 receiver read, 1-2. If 1-2 isn't there, now take off or throw it out of bounds. Get out of the tackle box, throw it out of bounds. Running wise, I think, and they tried it. They really did. I think a downhill double team kind of mash type of run setup is good. Then you mix in a little bit of like your pin pull game where you have one defensive or one offensive lineman. He just takes a pin block at a 45-degree angle. Then you have another defensive lineman that pulls in that direction. He came to help him. That's occasionally. But you have to have that form of misdirection to keep your kind of downhill smash mouth type of offense going. Now, where the offensive line did not do its best or have a very good day was that they really struggled moving guys off the ball. Really did. Part of that, every dance is 50-50. I tip my cap to Michigan State's defensive line and linebackers, because once they saw the double, they were gone. They were filling gap. They were ready to make a play. I give credit to their defensive line because they didn't get moved off of the point. Very rarely did you see Nebraska's line establish, a dominant power type of setup where that line of scrimmage moved. When the line of scrimmage doesn't move, you're cooked. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Now, I did bounce in and out a little bit. I didn't see much of the option game. I think that would have been a good wrinkle because you get speed to the corner. But with their safety running that alley as quick as he was, or sometimes it was a linebacker, I understand it. I understand why you didn't do it a whole bunch. But in my feel or my gut with that, if you could move your offensive formation, if you get set up in one, you trade guys over, you motion out, I don't think we had the capability to make any jet motion game going. Malachi Coleman is very fast. Maybe that's a way to get him the ball and try to let him use his speed. Jet sweep, you need to make a left turn at some point or a right turn. Something to look at to ways to just kind of switch it up. I think that then if it is successful, that gives you a chance to run a jet motion. Then you fake the jet. Then you can hand off after it, or then you can run. I don't mind in some instances. I think instead of a handoff or a read, like a quarterback follow type of setup would be a good play, where the running back and the quarterback out of shotgun, once that ball is extended out, if you're not giving it to the back, then you just follow the back up into the hole because you're having an additional blocker there. Like, these are things that, as Anthony brought up, I think just accentuate what Harburg does. Take advantage of the middle of the field with your tight end or a receiver, because Fedoni does garner some respect. Like, he's a coverage threat. If you need to run him down the middle and then clear him out and slide a receiver underneath in the middle, then I think a low middle throw is a better throw for Harburg than the attempt on the outside. I just think that helps more of what his skill set is. John, not reading that one. Tim says agree verse. Guide check time from the boys. They need to look in the mirror and get right. Yeah. This is a bit like, for the season and for it to look aesthetically pleasing. This Maryland game is huge. This Maryland game is oh, fuck, I hate to say it. This game, to me, in just my little pea brain, this game is the season. Like, you hate to say it, a regular season game is a must win, but I think they have to win. Like, they have to win this game. And Nebraska fan, go there, snag a couple beers, get boozed up, like, get after it, and scream your face off. Like, leave the game hoarse. Make sure it's just as loud as possible. Yell, scream, cuss. Don't get in fights. Do all that to make it as uncomfortable for Maryland as possible. Do your part. Be the 12th player. Shit, I just didn't want to be in this spot, man. I don't like the last two because you go to Camp Randall. Them, what a set of cojones too by the interim AD at Iowa. Tip of the cap to that gal. Telling him the kid ain't coming back. Kirk, we've taken this off your plate. I made the call. Your boy ain't coming back to call plays. Good luck. Then that made me, that Iowa game at the end, I was like, I don't mind that. He's gonna do what he does. Perfect. And now I'm like, shit. Now they're gonna be all fired up. Son of a bitch. But anyway, that's just me rambling. John says Michigan State can't stop the pass. They can't stop the run. Satterfield decided to use a quarterback that can't throw the ball to beat them throwing the ball. So, man, he, tough calling plays when you feel, like hamstrung, right? When you feel like you don't have the full gamut of what you want to do. You don't have the full luxury of plays. You can't say, hey, we can rely on this. We can get this done. We can blah, 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 blah. but you just have to find, like, I don't know, you just have to, there's got to be something. Okay. There's got to be some way that you can get that. We're trying different methods here with Foreman. We're going to try to send this link to him in another way. Give me just a second. All right. So we got that. He might be out doing some stuff, so we'll see if that worked. He's bitching at me via text. So if you want to tweet at him, we'll get him all pissed off. Hey, thank you guys. Last week he got mad. He called me some bad names and said, "Hey man, why didn't you tell me?" I was like, "I did. I sent you a link on the email." He said, "I've told you 100 times, text me." Well, I don't have that capability, buddy. So, all right. We're just going to keep on. We got comments flying around here today, so good on you guys. Jay brings up a good point. It's a little gimmicky, and then maybe it helps out, and it gets Nebraska kind of off of their schneid offensively. Some creativity, trick play. I mean, reverse. They did it to us. They really left nothing to wait or to wonder or to linger. Something. You gotta Robert. Thank you, Robert. Robert says upper 50s for next Saturday, not the weather we need for that game. I agree. Cold front, like leave Friday night alone. Overnight cold front, get it down into the 10s, into the zeros. Go from there. All right. So we may have somebody joining us here in 15 minutes after we have harassed them for a while. David said, agree, there needs to be a tangible, visible sense of urgency with his team on Saturday, and that tone likely will be set during the week. You like the unique part of this deal, and it's for us that have been in this, that have joined on Husker Hangover for a long time or for a while, always appreciative. But usually right now in this time of year, we're all on suicide watch. We're just kind of done with the apathy and it's yeah, it is what it is. We're just shitty. Well, now that we've had the carrot dangled in front of us and we're watching this, and now we're like really like shit, man, lock it up. Like how does that Michigan State game happen? How do we do that? Can we not do that? Let's just not do that anymore. They have been able to refocus, okay? And that's a credit to the staff. Because college football players' minds, when you're not like in it, their brains will wander. Their brains will go wherever. They honestly, it's that Bruce Lee comment said, be like water. Be like water goes two ways. Water will find the easiest path. And sometimes, if you get somebody in there and maybe I don't think there is, like, oh man, we're 5-3. We're gonna be, this and this. Winning in the big time games, blah, 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 blah. It's almost a reboot where you have to go back and you have to resell your vision, right? Like, what does your vision look like for this program? How do you want to be remembered here? And you focus that back up, right? And you get that, hey, you're a part of this forever. Like you can be the ones that helped turn this around, got it back going in the right direction. But we can't have that happen again. We can't have, that type of setup that Michigan State can't happen. Like that'll be what I'm watching this week. How they come out. Because if they come out, let's not shit ourselves. Maryland ain't exactly a world beater. Like they went and played hard against Penn State. I would hope so. It's a big game on your schedule. Get all jazzed up. You're out of your skis. You're playing a little bit, too far out there. But you played hard, flew around, They have some struggles up front. Now, do we have Penn State defensive line? No. But can we get pressure on Tuivasa? Yeah, we can. Not even going to try the first name. But we can get those kind of things done. So we have to kind of be in that mindset. Come out pissed off, fired up, and ready to go. I don't know if they are practicing. John asked if I know Nebraska practicing today. I don't. Wesley James says turnovers kill. I don't know why they need to do different to limit them. I think here's the reason. I just think sometimes they feel they need to take a shot when a first down is your shot. If you can consistently set yourself up by just getting first downs and you become a clock eater, you just grind. And the game of keep away is an awesome game. But we are a satisfy me now society. What do you mean you've run 3 plays and haven't scored yet? This is ridiculous. Okay. We scored. We didn't turn it over. It's okay if we back-breaking, soul-crushing. When has anybody said that 3-play drive was really a soul-crusher? That 3-play drive is really going to make the defense think about what they're doing. I guess who would you want to – do you see yourself pattern as an offense like – is Satterfield like an Oregon offense type of guy? This is bad on my part, but I can't think of anybody. But – or do you want a, 14 – that's too many – 8, 12-play drive kind of team? Keeping your defense off of the field for a while, keeping them fresh. That's kind of where I'm at with it. But let's just put somebody in the grindhouse. Can we grind out drives? Can we grind out a game? Can the linemen and the fullbacks and the tight ends, when they're in there, get tired of getting their ass whooped? If you think everybody that you've ever played against, you were just better than, you're wrong. There are guys that have played the game that are not as good as the guys they play. But they will outcompete them. They will out something them that day. They will out technique them. They will out physical them. They will outspeed them. They will find a way in their toolbox. First contact of the game, you always know. You'll watch all the film you want. All the film you want to watch. Okay, I think I can do this. This should work. Da-da-da. You get in the game like, none of that shit I thought was going to work is going to work. Okay, where do we go now? I'm going to try this. Okay, that had success. So now I know in this instance I can do this. If I accomplish this, now I can set him up when we're running this play. Like thinking the game. Can you think it? One of the more fun things that I get to do at practices as we're going around and we our day one install, this is their base setup. This is their base setup. So what they do, here's what we're thinking. Okay. And that Tuesday comes and it's like, okay. And our little scout guys are great. They hustle, they play hard. There they go. Because we only go as far as our scout team goes. Legit. You want secret sauce to being successful in football? You are only as good as the effort your scout team, your practice team, whatever you want to call them. I know the psyche of people, you can't say scout team anymore. You are as good as the effort they give. Fact. If you go out and you get those dudes to go balls to the wall, you can get a lot of stuff done. But if your scout team wants to go out there and they want a brother-in-law and they want to stand around, they don't want to do, they want to play hard, they don't want to get better. But now, that Tuesday when you go over there, I'm like, okay, never line up in the base defense 2 plays in a row. Okay? You can play it once. After you play it, then you better blitz somebody, you better move somebody, you better do something. And their little eyes light up, and they're like, really? I'm like, oh, yeah. Have at her, boys. Have fun. Because I did that job. That job sucks. That job is terrible. But when you make it fun and then you have success, you get to get after it. And it's a good time. It's really a lot of fun. But anyway, when I say that, Nebraska has to get better looks like that. That's the intensity at practice this week, I hope, is high and palpable. You're going to have beautiful weather, as we learned. So you got no excuse there. It ain't cold. So get after it. But come out fired up. Come out ready to go. Because the better you get that practice, the more lively you get that practice, you can have some fun. You can win. Should have gone out and won that game. When was that one I was going to read? Eric, a guy from GI, says it gets frustrating to see an athletic quarterback that struggles with mobility, agility, going left or right. Really hurts with the offensive players we have, but running in a straight line, a boy can scoot. He can. He really can. You've got to design, or you've got to try to execute for Harburg. It's just a one cut. Okay? You get the play design. It's like, hey, we're going to try to get into, we're just going to use this. We'll try to get in the 6 hole here. We're going to try to run in the 6 hole. You put your left foot in the ground. Once that thing hits the ground, you just take off straight ahead as possible. The shimmy and the shake aren't quite there with it like we're normally used to seeing. I didn't really expect it because he's just straight line. He's a burner. Like Michigan State on the late should have been touchdown. He had 2 guys with angles on him. He evaporated both angles. Third guy had the best angle, made the play. So it's straight line, yeah, he can go. So now, okay, how can we get this when we're taking care of the front? You tell Heinrich, hey, you get to the 6. Sorry, right foot goes down on the ground, and away we go. So ladies and gentlemen, getting ready to join us on the program here. Pride of Eden Prairie, Minnesota. And one hell of a football player, linebacker in multiple Hall of Fames. Played for the Buffalo Bills, played for the Houston Texans. My good buddy. The one, the only, Jay Foreman. Jay Foreman, how are you today?
I'm doing all right, man. What's popping this early in the morning on Sunday?
Oh, listen to you bitching. Just do you wake up and never just not bitch about something?
I don't bitch at all, man. I'm just keeping it real. You know what I'm
Look,
saying? It's
you've been
actually
to
supposed to be
church.
9:30, so I guess I'll give you some. I'll give you a little grace period, man.
You've been to church already. You already went and got right with the Lord. All
Yeah, I prayed the Lord that I wouldn't kick your ass. That's it.
yeah,
What's
you got it.
happening?
Yeah, buddy. Nothing. Just going over the game. And the frustration level. I would like to have game in hand and this has been done and not had to worry about much going into the last 3, but now the old sphincter's tightened up, and I think, Reggie, I think, in my opinion, Maryland now is a must win. I don't want to try to leave your bowl success or your bowl trip on those last 2 games because we don't do good at
Right.
Camp Randall, and Iowa can run it down your throat if they need to.
Yeah, I mean it definitely was a missed opportunity, and it's probably more of a missed opportunity because of they were extremely flat. With the stakes at hand, you'd assume it would be the opposite. You could talk about the lack of crowd at Michigan State, so forth and so on. They played with their as much energy as they possibly could and have really, for the most part. So watching them on tape, you knew they were going to be competitive. And anytime you allow a team that's, they got 1 foot and half their body, out of the door, if you give them a reason to peek back inside, then you set yourself up for failure. Now, look, you're 100% right. The referees that was probably one of the worst crews I've seen where you missed blatant calls and the guys that were there were in position to make the calls, right? But ultimately, it's no different than basketball. You hear about it. You don't want to leave it to the refs' hands because they are humans, right? So there's a mistake factor that, kind of creeps in. But really, you create your own luck and create your own mistakes. And that's probably the difference between the previous 3 weeks or 3 wins where it didn't, the same amount of turnovers, unfortunately. But then, they were making plays by their energy and effort and attention to detail. When the defense is supposed to be or should be, and it still is. I mean, let's be honest. Let's don't think like we need to turn out the lights and just pack up and go home. But the defense with the guys that are supposed to be, your bell cows come out and, bad eyes on the first drive that allowed 2 explosive plays, a seam route by a tight end, that runs right past our safety or whatever twice. You're a little off. Now they did rebound a little bit, which they showed that's a great ability, but you got to start out a little bit faster, especially when you're on the road. And Michigan State was 2-0 before the Mel Tucker situation. So they have they found a hidden gem in Nick Carter, their running back, and then they had Malusi before that, I think. And they had Trey Mosley, so they were capable, and that their offensive line was going to be physical because that's the way that they played. So it was it's disappointing, but I'm assuming that hopefully when the players got back, they're probably more pissed off than any of us, and that's that's what you like. And they look at Maryland as a team that I think they match up well with, as far as defensively, the 3-3-5 and what Maryland does. But offensively, you gotta, as when you do some good things. I thought the conventional run game was pretty good, especially like the off tackle zone. I don't think we did well getting to the edges. I feel like the timing on the option is not very good.
Hold tight just a second. Who do you think on that team now, when they get back, rallies that? Like, who's the mouthpiece? Who leads that to say, hey, this shit ain't acceptable? Like, we can't fucking do this.
I'm not really sure. I mean, I'm sure it's probably like an Isaac Gifford or like, I have confidence in like a Nick Heinrich or somebody like that. Defensively, offensively, I'm sure like Ben Scott and those guys, going to tighten them up pretty good, and then go from there. And I think for this team, with new leadership and learning how to lead the right way, and not just lead when Jay Foreman and Birdsall aren't giving effort, and I'm the only one talking to you. Whereas like you need guys, maybe even like Turner Corcoran, that be the eyes and ears of the offensive line now that he's out for the season. You need guys. It needs to be a rallying point because it was all 3 phases, and I think the defense could take I would say, carry the pail of water, up the side of the hill without spilling it or dropping it. So I think it needs to be led by the defense, and then you gotta, have the, bring the offense with you. And the offense's problem is they'll take 4 steps forward and then they'll take 4 steps back. You can't have catastrophic stuff. You can't be behind the chains to the magnitude of self-inflicted wounds. Like we aren't blocking well on the edges, and some guys aren't, or as good as I think they could. And it's affecting the, I guess, I call it like a smoke screen type of run game. So like a wide receiver screen, slot screen.
Okay.
That's an old 49ers thing. Like that's another way of conventional run game. It's another way to get on the edges and get some plays. And actually, it's another way to be physical out there. So
Long hand.
yeah, but it's also another way to be physical. So if you have bigger bodies out there getting on smaller guys, you can be physical out there. And that's a way that if you look at Baylor, how they were able to do some things, they were really good blockers on the perimeter. So, we just need to do some things better. And obviously the turnovers, are what is really sticks out. But I think winning on first down is probably going to be a thing that they need to emphasize. And then also just kind of change the mindset. One thing I said on the after Jay Foreman after game show is that
Nice.
the game is, really when you think about football, and this is what New England Patriots do. Like they practice situational football. all practice. Now they practice hard, physical, and all that. When you think about it, Verse, and you're a coach, the game is broken down into anywhere from 8 to 10 situational, segmented ways of football. So as you're at certain places in this, on the field or in the game, your mindset has to change, right? So if
Mhm.
they start to get the momentum in, okay, so now we might need to slow the game down a little bit, not to a snail's pace, but a little bit slower pace. Take what the defense gives us, so to make them kind of get back on their heels and take the momentum off of there. Or if there's a way that we need to, have a 2 minute drive, but we want to have a 2 minute drive, going into halftime, with them out, being able to get it back before the clock or before halftime because we get the clock, right? Or we get the ball after halftime. And then once we get the ball, we need to have our kind of go back to our 15 plays scripted or potential scripted plays after halftime. And you have two scripts based on if you're winning the game or tied the game or you're losing the game, right? And so those things, then it changes defensively. Okay, what is it when you think about a team like Michigan State, right? And this is where a lot of these guys need to really start to look at football from a different view, right? And sometimes this happens when you've been playing really good defense. Is a team like Michigan State, they're not going to trick play you, out leverage you to get a first down. They need touchdowns. They have nothing to lose. The coach ain't going to be there. None of the assistant coaches are going to be there. 60% of the players are going to be gone. So so that changes the mindset from a play caller standpoint of we're going to try anything and everything, right? We're going to
Yep.
Lante Brown, your revenge tour. We're going to have you do anything. We know you play quarterback in high school, wide receiver pass. We're going to have you do like a little reverse. We're going to give you like a counter. We're going to do all that type of stuff. And it's generally between the 40 and 40. So you got to be on red alert for it, not for them to get a first down, but they're going to try to get touchdowns because they haven't shown the ability to really walk the ball down the field on a consistent
Yeah.
basis. So the only way that they can do it and score is by that. And I think that was just a little off yesterday.
Hey, is that something do you think the coaches needed to relate to that, or do you think the players needed to figure that out?
Oh, well, I think the coaches have related to him because they're very detailed. Tony White is very, very detailed, and I think that also goes over to offense too. So I'm sure Satterfield has done it. Matt Rule's a detailed freak, right? So
Yeah.
the players need to listen and not hear it, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes when you're skating by with a lot of turnovers, you're getting turnovers, with 31-14, win against Purdue, and then Purdue goes up and loses only by 21 points to Michigan on the road. It shows you how close you actually should have been to playing Michigan, but then also it shows you that the 31-14 victory against Purdue really wasn't a 17-point victory, right? So, you just have to have a sense of reality, and the faster that you kind of turn it around and get focused on Maryland and actually living up to your expectations, it'll be just fine. It's not a talent thing, sure, would everybody'd like to have you know a superiorly talented team, but if we did and had some all conference players on both sides of the ball, Matt Rule and those guys wouldn't be here, right? So ultimately, we have enough talent to win. We've shown that. We just have to win our way, and when you get out of your own way, and you're not able to like regain momentum or control by your energy and urgency, right? For long periods of time. You saw some glimpses, right?
Mhm.
It's hard to really bang on the defense when they kept them. They had Michigan State only had 10 first downs, 3 or 14 on third down. So it's hard, but they did give up, too many explosive plays, right? And it led to their points, 17 at least of their points. So it's one of those things. The standard is set to where it's at, and sometimes you meet it, and sometimes you don't. For this team and the coaching staff, it's a 12 1 week season. So it's rinse and repeat every week, and that's because in this situation, teaching a lot of guys or all of them really how close and how much detail and how much mental wherewithal and strength you need to win. They're learning on the run, and they've done it well for the most part. And it's good to sit up here and be disappointed, but ultimately, you want them to break through the threshold of something that where they've had multiple opportunities to get 6 wins.
Heidi, what does the offensive game plan look like to you for Nebraska to beat Maryland? Like, I it looked disjointed to me against Michigan State. I don't
Yeah.
know. Kellyanne brought up a good point. She tells you hello, but she brought up a good point. Like Harburg doesn't look right since that targeting call against Purdue. Are they tentative with the play calls, or things just didn't look right in that game?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, I think I don't. I mean, he took a big hit. I don't think they put him out there if he wasn't right. I just think he might be like. Sometimes I think he's a little jacked up because his footwork and everything is off, and then sometimes he gets it back going. But look. He's a freshman quarterback out there playing. I mean,
Yeah.
he might been on campus for however long. He hadn't played meaningful football in years.
3 years, yeah.
And you got to think the practices from the prior staffs or his prior staff was not very. Um,
Say it.
I'm trying to figure it out. There wasn't a lot of work being done if you weren't a starter, right? Yeah, he probably did the look team, but does that they're not really working on fundamentals. If you throw a pick, then who cares? Great for the defense. So, physically that's something I can't speak on that. I just think the rhythm of the offense was discombobulated. Number one is because the execution wasn't really that good. I felt like we played a little bit too high at times, and got out of our kind of rhythm of what we had some crucial drops, a little bit of inaccuracy. And Michigan State was playing tight and they were selling out against the run. I mean, they were run blitzing 60-70% of the time, and they weren't even thinking about any play action or anything like that. So, they caught it. They kind of dictated the pace, and we weren't able to get, enough explosive plays to get them on their heels, But yeah, the rhythm was a little bit bad. But, I think really it comes down to execution, man. The execution wasn't at the level that it should be, But in Michigan State, I'm gonna tell you what, don't take anything
No.
from that defense is pretty good, regardless of what the stat sheet shows, because they've played an enormous amount of plays. That defensive line is good, and the second level with Cal Holiday is good, and they play hard. They're tough. They're physical. So it was never going to be easy.
They did some things smart too, like
Yeah,
they dropped little buddy back out at safety. I mean, you'd see him sprinting out of the screen.
yeah,
Like, they
yeah.
knew a deep ball was coming, like, they just dropped back, play center field, wherever
Yeah,
it
they
tips
did.
the
Yeah,
plane,
and
go get it.
and Nebraska tried to circumvent that. Had a couple times where they had some crossing routes. There was a couple
Yeah.
times where guys didn't, where Heiberg wasn't able to get them. So the adjustment from us was there. We just didn't execute, and so that's really Nebraska's issues yesterday were a lot of self-inflicted. Right, you're playing against competitive teams. You make adjustments and you make good adjustments. You got to execute them. So it just comes down to self-awareness and self-discipline of doing what you need to do in the heat of the battle, and we just weren't there, to the magnitude that we needed, and lost by 3. The hour and 15-20 minute flight, probably had a little bit of regret on there because of the opportunity that they had, and it was just really came down to urgency and effort coming out of the gate.
Okay. So it is what it is. Nebraska's lost to Michigan State. You come home, you're re-rallying the troops. Focus should be at a high level. You like the 3-3-5 against what Maryland does. Can you expand on that and tell the folks why you like that matchup?
Well, Maryland, I mean, they got Himby's a good running back, right? So, and Maryland's gotten better across the line of scrimmage, but primarily they're a passing team. So what they'll do is they'll try to out leverage you with kind of a spread offense. They're a pass first type of offense. Even if their running game's going, they're going to pass, and they have some good athletes out there. Mike Oxley or Loxley is recruited well, and so they like to spread you out, right? So that puts a lot of pressure on your nickel defenders and the corners and stuff like that. And I feel like we have an overabundance of hybrid players and corners and safeties that will be able to eliminate and possibly cover these guys to the magnitude that we can get some pass rush there and hit the quarterback. So that's why, because if you don't have guys that can run and cover, like where you have a Hartzog that can play in the nickel, that's a great matchup, right? You have Tommy Hill and then Newsome out there, and when they're playing right with the crowd noise, you're pretty good. And then you feel like you got Omar Brown and say like Isaac Gifford and Sanford, you got guys that can run and tackle in space and eliminate, excuse me, yards after the catch. So that's why I think it is. And then also with the timely blitzes and stuff like that, you can establish the line of scrimmage, so that means like Ty Robinson and Nash have to have a good day. And then you got flexibility with guys like Jamari Butler and MJ Sherman that can kind of come out of the stack and really cause havoc. So I think this style of offense, our defense matches up well versus if we were a static you know,
The
say we
basic.
were say we know remember when we went to from the the 4-3 of from Banker to the 3-4 of Diaco, where you felt like we didn't have the personnel to match up with Oregon or these other teams. So they have the personnel to match up with them. Now that the hard part is what go back to the lab, train, lick your wounds, kind of get out of your feelings and go out there and match against guys that or quite frankly, they're trying to get right and they're playing for a lot. The Maryland and Nebraska are the same way. Both teams are trying to get to that 6 wins. Maryland's had a disappointed run here, and something's off with them. So again, don't let a team that's kind of a little bit off get back on track against you.
Do you think with what they do offensively, is there opportunity? Like, can you get creative with pressure to get Tuivasa-Loga off the spot, or do you want to keep him on the spot and just play well behind it?
You want to do a little bit of both. You don't want him comfortable, so you want to get up in his face. He's short, right? So
Yeah.
you want to get up off his face, and you got to understand the concepts and where he's trying to throw it, and then you want to move him off the spot, but then you want to punish his ass. I don't think the urgency to get to the quarterback was there yesterday. I think I've seen them play. They need to play with a little bit more, jets on their ass or whatever. So
Yeah.
you do that, get your hands up, get some tip balls, and hits on the quarterback are just as valuable as the sacks, because the more that you keep Maryland behind the chains, the more that you keep them off rhythm, right? Because once they start diming you up, they're going to try to up the tempo. The more that you make them play kind of a slow down, like kind of a regular pace game, the better for Nebraska.
Offensively, what do you think Nebraska do you think they change things? Do you think we start to see some of the younger linemen in? Do you think that
Oh, I
there's
never thought. Yeah, that might be an option, with because of the the 4 games and being at
yeah,
home. So you figure that they might be able to play a little bit better at home, because of the crowd
familiarity?
noise. Crowd noise won't affect you, and then you have more guys on the roster. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's a home game, so that might be an option. I know they've been coached and prepared to be, to possibly get in there, and that's a coach's and personnel decision. Could be an option though, and it could maybe light a fire on some of the guys that have been playing. So that could be an option. I think this, really offensively, the one thing that they've done, and I know the coaches always get heat on it, is like they've tried to put together a game plan for the situations that they've been dealt with, a ton of injuries and lack of experience. So they've done things, to put them in position to win. Now, just unfortunately against Michigan State, they just didn't. They were flat, Vers, and we've all been there with
Yeah.
those games, right? And we've all been players individually, been started out flat. But the difference is we've always been able to crank it up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And finish, and so they're just missing a little bit of that, or really, to be honest with you, they just weren't able to do it. They've done it in the past, in the last 3 games. They just didn't do it, yesterday against Michigan State. It's a learning experience. They got another big game coming up Saturday. And so you can't dig up an old horse and bring it back to life. So you got to put it to bed and learn from it, and then, move on to next week.
When you watch Nebraska play defense, do you have anybody you circle, you highlight? Do you like to just enjoy watching?
I think overall, I like the difference of the defense of this whole year. I think it's every game is somebody else, but like when you see the emergence of Jamari Butler, I felt like he was the one playing with decent energy in the first half for sure. Cam Linhart. I really like the emergence of Omar Brown. I like
Like
Singleton when he was in there. And all of them have been good. Isaac Gifford is that had his moments, and so I think guys that they've had a pretty good team oriented defense, and guys have taken turns. So I like watching them, all play, because there's a ton of guys that play and they all seem to play well, and they get in there and get after it, and they play for each other and stuff. And that's something that's been missing.
we got going on today? You got basketball?
No, I'm gonna go check out some kids at basketball, so I'm about to take off here.
You about to go scout basketball?
Yep, I'm doing the scut like you guys do in volleyball and football.
Come on, man. That we are not Damon Benny. You just calm down there. Whatever shows up. Reggie ain't bringing us no presents of players. Hey,
Well, I'm gonna
did you
tell
watch
Reggie
last night?
he needs to drop some presents off
Did
for
you
his
watch
Nebraska.
Saunders last night? Did you watch
I
that game?
watched a little bit of it. Yeah,
Man,
yeah, that's a dynasty right there, man. I think if they win 10 in a row, You're gonna have people saying that they need to go play Class A.
You know how many seniors they got?
It don't matter. When you win 10 in a row, Verse, yeah,
She
I
got
know.
one senior.
Verse, when you went 9 in a row, and it don't matter. That's excellent coaching. That's standards. That's expectations, and it is we they do what they do, and you got to respect it. And she's a former Husker, so you're always happy for Renee because I know she works at it. And
Hey, she asked the A's to play. She's like, we'll play you. Just let us
oh
know.
really? Yeah, I know. They probably don't want to get embarrassed, but she looks like she enjoys what she's doing, so it's always good to see her be successful.
Yeah.
So.
Were you going to like junior high scout people?
Hey man, why don't you just let me do my thing, bro? I mean, damn. You know what I'm saying? Let me do my thing.
You bring them a T-shirt. You're like, hey, here's your recruiting T-shirt.
I give them a McDonald's gift card. That's your NIL deal.
Why don't you give me a Chick-fil-A?
It's too expensive.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
You got them on the dog.
Depends on who it is, man. They can get, I'll send them up to PF Chains if I got to.
Depending on, you like rate them? Like
Oh yeah.
real
Yeah.
good. Like
Oh
you
yeah.
get these gift cards. You get Chick-fil-A.
Hey man, if you good, man, I'll get in there. We'll make it happen.
Oh man.
Might even try to see if I can get you a special pair of shoes or something, man, too.
Here's a Jay Foreman autograph 8x10 glossy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's your gift card.
Some of these kids, man, they like 15, 16 and 9th, 10th grade. I might even let you drive my car or something, man, for the Instagram.
Put it on the gram.
Yeah.
Hey, we are above 500, so I believe this week we are going to unleash the Foreman 44.
Yeah, you said that last week.
I did.
As a matter of fact, I think I might be up there Wednesday, so I need to get that.
Get off my ass. I was busy last week. All right. We got semifinal games to try to win now.
All right. Well, stop bullshitting then, man.
Did you come over? You were texting me about what time we played. Were you here?
No, I was just wondering.
Oh,
yeah.
We did not have a great start. Do you see that?
No.
We were down 28-6 first quarter.
Damn. Well, you guys sleepwalking? You need some fire?
No. Blair, coaching staff, did
Yeah.
a really good job. Like, really good.
So
They pooched one to start, and rule one, tight end, never run backwards. Rule two, fullback, always run forward. They kicked it, fullback or tight end just took off backwards. I was like, no.
Yeah.
Fullback kind of hesitated a second, and they got it, and they were putting it on us early. But
you guys came back though. That's good though. So
I fought back. So we'll see. All right,
who you got next?
We play at Waverly on Friday.
All right, dude. Well, good luck, man. I'll text you later.
Rebel stuff, or are you recruiting for high school now?
No, Rebel stuff. The high school stuff. They ain't competitive over there at Southeast.
I ain't gonna argue with you. You know what I'm going through.
Yeah. Tongue in cheek over there. Yep. So, all right, brother.
Well, I hope your recruiting pitch goes well, and you.
It's good.
12-year-old basketball player.
Hey, leave me alone, man. I'm out, man. You bullying me, man. I'll talk to you.
Oh, look at you, Jay. Feel bad. Oh man, my friends. Oh Jesus. I catch hell for coaching at Scott. That's fine. I have no problem with it. But man, these dudes are bonkers. Like, they are legit. That's what they do. Oh my God. Anyway, I digress. Thanks to Jay for coming on. Happy he could make it on. I tried to get him going with Reggie. He dodged a couple times. For all young basketball players, if Jay gives you a PF Chang card, no. If Jay gives you a PF Chang card, that means he thinks you're a talented guy. He thinks you're ready to go. Did bring up some good points. I hadn't looked at it in the manner because my nerves, were really the only thing that had settled in for me after that game. The matchup against Maryland, they're kind of in the same boat. They're in the same setup as we are. They're fighting for bowl life too. I mean, it's a deal It's been such a long time since like we've been in like this has been our spot. Like this has been what we're having to deal with. But like this more than anything, like it's gonna be the true test of like what I think Nebraska football will be in an ongoing manner. Like, is it a team of resilience? Like, can you go back and can you just refocus? Okay. Can you go back and can you set yourself up to succeed after you've had a bad game? Or maybe bad game is a bad phrasing. You had a game that didn't progress you forward to a better version of yourself. Try to relay to teams that I coach. I'm like, listen, you ain't playing team X, Y, or Z. You're playing against yourself. Can you go out and be the best version of your team on that day? Jesus, excuse me. If you can accomplish that, the rest of it is a moot point. Go and be the best version of Nebraska football you can on that Saturday. If you do that, you will win the game. Unfortunately, I don't think this past Saturday we saw the best version of Nebraska football for whatever reason. Those things are going to happen. Jay brought up a great point. You play in games and you don't always have excellence, but can you push the reset button? Can you push that button and start again? And that's, a big step, because then you are a resilient setup. You are mentally tough. No, I think a lot of mental toughness leads from physical toughness, and they have that as well. So you have to come on. You have to. I just said come on, and I was typing come on. You have to get that set up in that manner. You have to push that. This is where your leadership comes in. Those that have listened to the show for a long time, we've always listened to old guys talk about, hey, this guy would come in and say something. Who is that guy now? Right? Who is it on this team that wants to be the leader, wants to take control, wants to I think at times they still are relying on the coaches to provide that to them when they don't fully grasp it. It's them that has to lead. Like they have to be the mouthpiece. If it's Ty Robinson, I think that would be great if he's a guy. Nash Huntmacher, another one. I don't think you have that mouthpiece on the offensive line. I really don't. But I guarantee you, people will listen to those two defensive linemen. If they're the ones out trumpeting the call, then yeah, they will do that. But how do they react to this is I haven't said this in a while, but Saturday can't get here quick enough because I don't want to wait and I don't like waiting. But I want to see how they respond. I want to see how it goes. I've got a lot of messages, a lot of comments about officiating in the game. It was terrible. Jay even said it in the game. It is what it is. Okay. You can go into that and you can bitch and piss and moan and say, they screwed us here. They screwed us there. We had a couple that could have went the other way. We had a couple that could have been called. The only thing I ask of an officiating crew as I'm watching is, do you have control of the game? Okay. I did not think that they were in control of the game, meaning I didn't think there was a fight going to break out. I didn't think there was anything chippy going on. I just didn't feel they felt secure in what they were doing. I don't think they were out over their skis. I just don't. They didn't have the poise to slow things down and make the tough call. You know, I do think the Harburg one at the end warranted a review. They didn't, and they kind of glossed over it. The touchdown where the ball moves, everybody and their dog thought that they were almost, it's like they were making a stand. Like, nope, this is the call. This is what it is. They're scattered throughout everywhere, but it is what it is. Like that's just the world of football now. That's the way it goes. You're not going to get top level officiating all the time. John says we need a Foursquare with Jay, Haas, and Aaron. Jay does not like even the triple screen. We did a show, I think it might have been last year, and Damon came on while Jay was on, and Jay wouldn't. It's too chaotic, and nobody will. If you saw me, I raised my hand. I had something I wanted to interject, and so then he gave me a pause for a second. They don't do that when they all get on together. They just all start talking, and it's just chaos. And Jay's like, "This chaos. I'm not doing 4 people or 3 people." But yeah, so I just shot. I didn't realize how popular Aaron was. I just messaged old AT. We'll see what he's got going on. There's a chance as we progress on after the season, that I think I've kind of got some stuff lined up to build a little studio in a different location. And so I think, and I apologize to you guys. First off, the breakfast here, I probably won't be able to pull that off this year. Just with my football schedule and what has been going on of late with me being producerless. I'm trying to acquire some technology where then I could both bartend, make you pizza, and still try to do a show. So don't give up hope on that. Maybe it'd be something good to do in the summer. Just we'll have a little summer meet up and we'll go that way. But it's still in the work. Jay says, and I think this is in regard to guys we would like to see kind of take the reins. The center Scott, number 66, seems like a fiery guy. That dynamic of somebody that transfers in, and if they walk into that kind of leadership role right out of the gate, I don't know that dynamic. I know Jay sneaks down there to practice quite a bit. It's a pretty cool thing. You know, he's told me about it. It's always welcome, always happy to have him down there. That's cool. He would have more on that. I was trying to get him to expand on it, but he wasn't really biting for that question at the time. Moving on here quick. I'll probably have to bomb out here about 25 minutes so I can get over to meetings. I'm a little bit late for those right now. What I want to see for Nebraska offensively, okay, is a full-blown examination by everybody of film. And as I look at that, then the reason I say it in that manner is that Wes is taking off. Thanks, Wes, for all the comments. They have, when you watch film, you don't necessarily say, okay, this is what they played. This is what we can take advantage of, blah, 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 blah. It's like gambling almost. Like gambling, people that are good at gambling don't bet on good teams. They bet on teams that are terrible, right? They bet on teams that are bad, okay? Not saying that Maryland has bad players, but I want to go on that film and want to find somebody like, hey, we can take advantage of that guy if we get this formation, this matchup. That can be via the pass. If we get in this set or this formation, we know we're going to get their third cover guy on our third receiver, and we think our third receiver is good and can win that. Okay? That's what I want to see the game plan look like. And you can do that both run and pass and find an advantage somewhere in that manner. For the defense, I just expect a full press of the reset button. Okay. It wasn't like something completely broke down. Okay. It wasn't like something completely went awry and they got you on a trick play. They got you on a fairly well covered. That one, people wanted pass interference. Michigan State fan wanted holding. Everybody wanted the call return. None of those happened. But to come out and that was the first time in a long time when Jay had mentioned they had that tight end run down the seam. First time in a long time we saw a receiver uncovered in a Nebraska game. It was. So that mental breakdown. Now we're really nitpicking at the defense. But they're what we have to hang our hat on. Like we're 100% square with each other. We don't have a lot of other option to be like, oh, this could work for us. We have them. I mean, we have them. And the rest of it, we try to piece together as we go. So how they do that. Interested to me to watch Coach White when he decides to bring pressure. Make sure that pressure, is a controlled pressure. Make sure Tuivasa-Loga doesn't get out of the pocket and scramble because he is very athletic. Understanding like from a pass rush standpoint that I can't get deeper than the quarterback in any pass rush. Because if I get deeper than him, now I've created an alley for him to step up, and that's going to cause my coverage to break down. It's going to cause him to run. Them being able to control line of scrimmage and making sure that when tackle happens, tackle's clean. The last thing we want them to be able to do is to be able to establish any kind of run at all. And make that what they honestly want it to be, which is one-dimensional run and pass routes, hoping you break down. And honestly, if you get to that spot, you're like, okay, let's see you do it the whole game. I think that would be what I would look for. The continued expansion of Thomas Fidone and his role in the offense, I think it'd be great. That to me, those established once Nebraska can consistently run the football. You've seen when they look good on offense, it's play action pass. When it's 5-step drop, it's a little hairy sometimes. So the offensive lineman up front, they have to get their shit together. You had a bad game, below average game. Can't have two in a row. So you got to go out and you got to try to be as dominant as possible in that game. If that means more film, great. If that means jumping rope and getting quicker, great. But what sacrifice are you willing to make? Everybody wants to be great until you find out what great entails. We had a gentleman comes in. He's a pitching coach. He's worked with a lot of predominant softball pitchers that play at big time programs. And it's a unique thing when you get to work with athletes in the off season. They'll come tell you, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to be this, I want to do that. I'm like, great. Here's what this person did before you to be where you want to go. Okay. So you give them all the stuff, you send them out, come back. Like, hey, did you do this? Nah. Nope. Okay. Did you do this? Nah, I didn't. No, I couldn't get to that either. I was busy. Oh, busy. Busy day. What'd you do? Well, I know me and my buddies went and did this, and then I hopped on and played some video games, and I did this and did that. I'm like, okay. Now, this is probably too far, but I have ended working with offensive line athletes because of that. Because they don't care. They don't want to be great. There's going to be a workload this week that will Nebraska will take them to the next level. I know it. in my heart of hearts, that game to Rule and staff, you could see it on his face, see it on all their faces, was very unacceptable. It was not appreciated. It was not something he felt was right. So the workload this week will be heavy. I think John had mentioned earlier, hopefully that workload started today. But to know that, hey, this isn't how it's going to go. We as a staff don't get down like that. You as a player shouldn't get down like that. So now we're going to do these things to make it better. And I think these kids will accept that. I think they knew that wasn't what it should be. I think they knew that wasn't how that should go. If you wondered, my weekly report of computer use was down this week. Good for me. So we will get into this, and I just can't wait for Saturday. This year's been great because it's the first time in a long time. Like I've told you all before, like a Saturday, I'll be like, yeah, okay, I know what's going to happen. This is how it's going to go. I'll watch 4 or 5 plays. Then I'll watch the replay later to get some finer points. And then it'll suck. I don't want, and then that happens, and I watch it, and then I just waited. I'm like, I don't even want to wait the next week. I don't want to see it. The juice now with it, even Jay, Jay and I, the behind the scenes conversations are much more foul mouthed and honest. Not that we're not honest when we talk to you, but you kind of really let it out. And there's one thing that I can't handle is that I don't like to feel apathy. And for a lot of years, I just felt apathetic. You guys were therapy to me every Sunday. I could kind of talk myself off my own ledge. But now to have that juice back, where that Michigan State loss, that hurt. Like that was the first time I had felt hurt at a Nebraska loss in quite a while. And I shit and motherfuckered and punched the wall in the back that we have to punch, and I was not happy. Like, God, this is the juice we've been missing. Please. And probably cooler than that is that I have faith in what Rule and crew are going to do. I think earlier somebody said Pet Maryland. I'm not drinking the Roulade, but I'm on board. I think they rebound. I think they look much better. And I don't think it's going to be a pretty win, but I think they get a win. I said we should take over the Raider statement, pay whatever licensing you need, and just win, baby. That's all that needs to happen. Because we're to the point now where nothing catastrophic is going to happen in regard to player. You're not going to have some guy come in that is 10 times better than what we thought he was going to be. But you can show a mastery of what you're trying to do. If they come in and show, hey, we're going to get back to this running the ball, and we're going to do this, and this is what it's going to look like. And now our play action pass game is great because we caught a safety peeking, or a corner thought he had to come up on run support, and we just ran right behind him. Right? That would be the best part that could come out of them establishing a wide run game. Okay? A wide run game where you control the defensive end, you get the defensive end forced inside. Now you can run to the outside. Because as little responsibility as it is, the corner still has some outside run responsibility. So now you establish that, and you control the edge, and now you get that fake handoff, right? You get that fake handoff off of a wide look, and now your guy like a Malachi Coleman, like a Lloyd, can just take off and burn. And now you can just chuck it down the field on a 9 route. The only thing you don't want to do is overthrow them. Underthrow is fine. They come back and catch it. It's a big play. That's what they can do. But the work on that and the pride you have to take in that and what you have to get done with that is what needs to happen. I'm good formation-wise. Nebraska gets creative with formation, and you want to throw some long handoff, some swings to a Billy Kemp. where you can get him the ball. Because as soon as you get that swing pass going, now you throw a swing and you pump fake that swing, and then you can slide Fedoni somewhere else. Or you can, again, outside of that, you can run something deep because Satterfield likes to throw the deep ball. I don't hate throwing the ball. I don't hate deep passes. I hate when they have nothing that set them up. Outside of just like, we think our guy's fast. We don't think you're as fast. He's going to run that way. Let's have a foot race and see who wins. When they're set up with compliments, 100% involved, 100% for it. Especially if the guy on the swing pass or the guy on the outside, wide zone makes a play before that, puts pressure on the defense. Oh man, my buddy can't tackle this thing on the swing. I got to start to help him now. That's my guy. They've told me I gotta, fight for him, live for him, die for him, all that stuff. I've got now. He's struggling. I got to help him, and I temporarily abandoned some of my responsibility. Perfect. That's what I want to see that offense do. However they do it, I don't care. If it's the 15-play script, get the 15-play script out and say, hey, what can we accomplish today? If those work, and then now what are the complements? How can I make it look the same out of different formations? How can I make it look the same and then have a complement to it? And have a complement out of all the formations. Now I've got a scheme, and now I've got a game plan together. This is how I make this game plan work. This is how it goes down. That's what I want to see out of them. Like that to me would be ideal on how they accomplish that. Albano's kind of rounding into form, made a couple field goals, take it. Punt team, cover team. I think the special teams, there's nothing crazy about it. There's nothing bad about it. It just is what it is. But getting to 6-6, John says if Nebraska goes 6-6, I don't care if they lose to Maryland and Wisconsin. That 6 win has to be against Iowa. I'm gonna get it over before that kind of person. But hey, let's just get this handled this week. Now we can go out the last two, play loose and free, and just have fun. There's nothing we got to think about. There's nothing we got to worry about. We're on house money. Let's get it going. So that's kind of my outlook for the week. I know the show today was a little bit shorter, but that's the way they go sometimes. On the losses, whew, it's good to feel again, though, about Nebraska football. It's like good to, it's been long. And I know how much you guys bought into it. I know by the comments that you guys put in, it's one of those things that it's just good. It's good. There's some other former players in from different generations. Believe it or not, a couple guys that had just graduated last year, a couple years ago. Sorry, came and watched the game at the shop, and so it was fun. We were all in it together. We were all cussing, and thankfully at Paisans we do a lot of carry out on game days. We don't have a lot of people come in and watch, and so we could shoot the breeze and all be in it together. So it will be fun. I look forward to it. Super excited. I don't have Peacock, so if somebody wants to message me on Twitter on how you get that set up, or Peacock Plus, where the fuck that is, my tech skills. So we'll see what happens there. But appreciate you guys joining me. I hope you have a fantastic Sunday. Thanks to Jay Foreman coming on the show, and you guys have a good day, and we will catch you after a Husker victory next week. 6 wins. Get ready, Vegas. We're coming, baby. This is Husker Hangover. I'm Matt Burzall. Have a great day.